The rejection didn't come with raised voices or harsh words. It came quietly, which somehow made it heavier. The woman across from Caleb Morrison barely sat down before deciding she was done. Her eyes skimmed over the worn jacket he wore, the modest table, the plain glass of water between them, and then she stood as if the evening had already expired. "This isn't what I imagined," she said, calm and final. No anger, no apology, just a conclusion. Her chair scraped softly against the floor as she walked away, heels tapping past tables full of laughter, warmth, and Christmas cheer. Caleb stayed seated, unmoving, staring at the slow drip of condensation sliding down his glass until it disappeared into the napkin below. The decorations above blinked red and gold, festive and indifferent. He had learned not to explain himself. First impressions rarely changed, and money, especially hidden money, had taught him that lesson too well. The waiter hesitated nearby, unsure whether to clear the untouched plate. Caleb nodded once. The second setting disappeared. Two menus folded back into one name erased without ceremony. The door opened again, letting in a rush of cold air and something unexpected, childlike laughter, light and unguarded. A woman entered with a little girl at her side, brushing snow from her coat. The child bounced on her feet, eyes wide at the lights and music, until her gaze landed on Caleb's table. She slowed. She noticed the empty chair. She noticed him. Children didn't glance the way adults did. They looked fully, without assumptions. The girl tugged her mother's hand and whispered something that made the woman stop short. Before her mother could intervene, the girl stepped away and walked toward Caleb. He lifted his head, expecting the waiter again. Instead, he found a child standing beside his table, unafraid, curious, sincere. "What happened to the lady who was sitting here?" she asked, nodding toward the empty chair. Caleb hesitated, searching for an answer simple enough to fit the question. Before he could speak, she asked another one that shifted something quietly but permanently. "Did she leave you alone on Christmas?" The weight of that question pressed deeper than the rejection ever had. Her mother hurried over, already apologizing with her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said gently. "She notices everything and forgets adults don't always like questions." "It's okay," Caleb replied softly. "She didn't do anything wrong." The girl didn't move. She studied him like she was waiting for something important. "My name's Hannah," the woman said, "and this is Lucy." Lucy waved once and pointed behind her. "There's room at our table," she said. "My mom says no one should eat alone, especially today." Hannah sighed the sigh of someone tired but kind and started to object. Caleb glanced at his untouched plate, then back at Lucy's unwavering certainty. "All right," he said. The word surprised him with how heavy it felt as they walked to the small table by the window. Caleb sensed that the night hadn't ended after all. It had simply changed direction. The table was modest. A flickering candle, simple menus. Hannah pulled out Lucy's chair first, a habit built from years of putting someone else before herself. Conversation came slowly, then more naturally. Hannah was a nurse at a public hospital, working extra shifts through the holidays. Caleb said he worked independently. Lucy talked about Christmas lights and drawings and how food tasted better when shared. When the waiter arrived, Lucy asked for an extra plate, as if this arrangement had always been planned. Caleb laughed quietly, an unfamiliar sound, and felt tension leave his shoulders. At one point, Lucy asked why the other woman left. Caleb chose his words carefully. "Sometimes people decide things before they really listen." Lucy nodded, satisfied. Hannah didn't press. She understood restraint. That alone felt like kindness. As the evening continued, something inside Caleb softened. He wasn't being evaluated or impressed or categorized. He was simply present. When the check arrived, he reached for it, then paused as Hannah gently covered his hand. "You don't have to," she said. "I'd like to," he replied, not from obligation, but grounding. They parted without promises. No exchanged numbers. No expectations. Lucy waved enthusiastically as they left, and Caleb watched them disappear into the cold night, carrying something warmer than he'd arrived with. That feeling followed him home. The next morning, Caleb woke early with Hannah's words lingering in his thoughts. Patients with no visitors. Rooms too quiet. Instead of delegating or donating anonymously, he went to a store himself. He chose socks, blankets, toys, books, things meant to be held. He paid in cash, unconcerned with the total. At the hospital, he asked for no recognition, only that the items reached those forgotten. While waiting, he noticed Lucy sitting nearby, legs swinging. She spotted him instantly and ran over. "You came back," she said, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Hannah followed, surprise giving way to understanding. "I remembered what you said," Caleb explained simply. That moment wasn't about generosity. It was about presence. Days turned into weeks. Caleb returned not as a benefactor, but as someone consistent. Hannah remained careful, protective. Lucy remained open, anchoring them both. Eventually, Hannah learned who Caleb really was. The wealth, the headlines, the numbers. She didn't accuse him of hiding. She asked why. Caleb told her the truth. Money made people decide who he was before he spoke. He didn't want that again. Hannah listened. Lucy held his hand. No romance bloomed overnight. What grew was trust, slow, imperfect, deliberate. Caleb learned that healing wasn't dramatic. It was repetitive. Showing up. staying, not fixing, not leaving. Months later, they sat again at the same restaurant. This time, no chair was empty. Lucy talked animatedly. Hannah smiled softly. Caleb felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not triumph, not certainty, but belonging. He understood then that redemption wasn't about proving worth. It was about choosing presence when disappearance felt easier. Some transformations arrive quietly. They don't announce themselves. They unfold through small acts of care, repeated again and again. And sometimes, all it takes is a child who notices an empty chair and refuses to let it stay that way. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Silent Soul Stories. Because kindness still exists, and sometimes it changes everything.